shy, nearly adult female was recently forgotten about on my parents' wedding day. My parents have been together for about 25 years, but they never actually got married. That's why when my dad, 50 male, proposed to my mother, 49 female, on their anniversary, which they've always celebrated on the date my mother found out she was pregnant with my eldest sister, even though they were already together before, everyone, including me, was delighted and celebrated the occasion with great joy. This happened all the way back in February. They immediately jumped into wedding planning, deciding very early on a small event in Hawaii with just the closest family and friends for an intimate ceremony. Almost immediately, my mother asked my sister, 25 female, to be her maid of honor, and my dad asked my brother, 22 male, to be his groomsman. I wasn't surprised or offended by this. My sister had always been a mommy's girl, and they both enjoyed spending time with each other, shopping and socializing, so they had a very close bond. The same goes for my father and brother. They always played football together and messed around with cars. My father even trained my brother's team for a while in middle school. That had always left me as the odd one out. I tried to insert myself into my family's hobbies and groups that they had within our home, but was always rebuffed. Maybe they could sense that my interest in their activities wasn't all that genuine, or perhaps they just didn't care. Either way, I was used to being the last and least important member of the family. Mom had sis and Dad had bro, my parents had each other, and my two siblings were closer to each other than they ever were to me, leaving me very lonely and isolated in my own home. During the preparation for the wedding, it was initially suggested that I be the flower girl, but my sister thought that the role would be more appropriate for her daughter, a toddler, so that idea was quickly tossed away. Later, my maternal grandmother suggested that I might read a poem or give a little speech during the ceremony. Still, both my parents refused because they wanted the wedding to be low-key, and they didn't think a cheesy and sappy speech would fit their vision, their literal words. I was still okay with all of this, even though it hurt to know I would be the only family member not to be part of the wedding party or have any role at all on the day. As the day approached, my parents and siblings got increasingly caught up in all the wedding planning. I noticed my mom didn't invite me to dress shopping and that whenever they would discuss the venue or the event, I was left out. So I decided to see if they would realize that I wasn't being involved at all and kept quiet, waiting for them to ask me something, anything, about the wedding, but that never happened. The wedding was set for 3 weeks ago at the end of August. The day before the departure, my mother casually asked if I had my luggage ready because we couldn't be late for the airport. I bluntly told her that I hadn't prepared anything. She got confused for a second and snapped at me for being unprepared. I then asked her if I even had a ticket, and her face went pale. Yep, they hadn't even bought me a ticket, and I'm not even sure I had a room or any accommodations once there. Even though I was the only person in my family without a stable income, I work as a part-time babysitter, my parents had bought first-class tickets for my siblings and a couple of other friends who were attending the wedding, but had forgotten me. My mom told me not to make a big deal out of it, and that they could just find me a low-cost ticket last minute from a cheap airline, but I just replied by asking her, "Then what? Do I even have a dress for the ceremony?" She went with sis to buy hers and all the other female guests months ago, but I wasn't included. That's when my father came in and just told me to suck it up and that I've never been a girly girl so I could just wear whatever. I got mad at this because, even though I'm not the most feminine girl on the planet, I would have loved to have been included in such an important part of my parents' wedding, and it was about the fact that I was excluded from literally everything that had been going on for months. We all got into a fight with them calling me entitled and accusing me of making myself small intentionally so they would forget me. Like that's a valid excuse for ignoring a child. They told me that if I kept this attitude, I might as well skip the whole thing altogether, to which I responded with a defiant "fine" and went to my room. The next morning they all left for Hawaii without me. The ceremony was small, but they all posted loads of pictures on Instagram and Facebook about how perfect and magical that whole week was. People quickly realized that I wasn't in any of the photos and asked my parents why, to which they replied that unfortunately I'd caught a bug before the trip and had to stay behind. My blood boiled at this. I don't know why this was the straw that broke the camel's back for me, but it was. I took a test, published a picture of myself holding the negative test and captioned it, "Not sick at all, just forgotten." I tagged everyone who had questioned my absence from the trip and the wedding in the picture, and, for good measure, everyone who was invited. I also wrote in the comments about how my parents had literally forgotten about anything to do with me until the day before departing and how they uninvited me. Most people were on my side, and others couldn't believe it and thought there must be something more to the story than what I was saying. But one thing is certain, I completely ruined my parents' wedding, and their day was overshadowed by my confession. At first, I felt quite satisfied with myself for standing up on my own, but after a barrage of messages from my family, calling me every name in the book, and later, when they came back, them furiously attacking me for my immature actions and my spoiled behaviour, my pride deflated quickly and I began to feel awful. I hate my family, I hate being in this house, but I'm a minor and can't leave just yet. I do feel like I could have handled the situation better though, and now I feel so depressed that I'm second-guessing everything I did, from not speaking up before to the way I exposed them. I also feel guilty for the lack of connection between all of my family and me, and maybe I could have done more. Am I the idiot for exposing my parents when they forgot about me on their wedding? Honey, a 23andMe test might answer that question. Can you move in with Grandma? Their history of rebuffing you whenever you try to participate with them says this wasn't a one-off. It's like they don't even consider you family. No judge will force you back to their house at nearly adult. If you have a place to go, get your things and documents now and go. Yeah, my first assumption was an affair child. She's quite a few years younger than her siblings, and it would explain a lot. Your parents messed up. They know it. Your siblings also messed up. They also know it. And you weren't making them look bad with your social media posts. You were correcting a lie. I hope you can qualify for a full-ride scholarship, because something tells me you don't have much of a college fund, if any. I have a family dynamic similar to that of OP, although I'm the oldest. I wasn't asked to go on family vacations, my birthday was always forgotten about. If my mom and younger siblings wanted to go out to eat for family dinner while I was at work, they would leave and not say a word to me. OP, not the idiot. Don't let them make you feel guilty. As soon as I could, I moved out. I didn't say a word to anyone in my immediate family. I just packed a bag and was gone. I'm no contact with everyone but my little sister, and even she's on probation with regards to visits and hanging out. I, 20 male, got invited to be a groomsman in the wedding party of my close friends, 24 male, 23 female, and I was elated. My friends are both fashion designers, more artistic photo shoots than commercial style, so they said they would design all of the outfits to suit the person wearing them and asked me if I'd be down. I said I'd absolutely love it and that I should feel free to do whatever, but I did say that in the context of capes or high boots. Also, on-season me is a vain idiot who's far too comfortable with his looks. The summer passed and they talked about a few outfits but kept most of them secret until the fall. Cool. Friday, they finally sent out the info to make sure everyone knew what they were wearing. I loved my design except for one detail. They didn't give me a shirt. So for context, I'm a photography and swimsuit model. People do take pictures of me shirtless a lot, but fall is my off-season and I'm not in good condition. I don't think I'm overweight or anything, but I don't look good and I would really like to wear clothes right now. I told them basically that this looked a little cool for a fall wedding and I wasn't in great shape to wear it. They said it'd be fine and I should just go for it and told me about how much work they put into designing it. I told them again that I just don't feel alright wearing it. Reality doesn't work like stage photo shoots, my abs look awful, and since I'm the only one who doesn't have a real shirt at all, it feels uncomfortably sensual. They got kinda mad and said that if I was so flustered by my weight I should go on a diet. I told them I wasn't a stripper and hung up. Yeah, mature, I know. They texted me afterward to apologise for the diet comment, and I apologised for my comment. The other problem is that apparently they've designed the bridesmaids and groomsmen's outfits in pairs. Viola is wearing something designed to be balanced with mine. She gets a shirt, of course, but it was designed to go with mine and she's super into her outfit. She seemed upset when I said I was trying to get mine changed. I get throwing a shirt or vest or waistcoat or something will throw off the composition, and they've only got 3 weeks to plan and make it, but at this point I just don't care. But Viola's awesome and looked genuinely deeply upset. She wasn't the one who decided to plan this, so I feel awful about how it'd affect her if I dropped or refused the outfit. I also know they put a lot of work into this and probably aren't trying to be remotely creepy, so I don't know why I'm reacting this bad. I'm just hurt they didn't care more about me than about their designs. But at the same time, I'm being irrational, and those outfits definitely took months to plan and sew. Edit, they took our measurements but kept what they were making a secret. They planned to do the fitting and adjustments over the next few weeks. I also think they were going for vibes more than perfect fit. Most of what they're making isn't very tight. If someone expected me to go shirtless, first I'd laugh at them, and then when I realised they were serious, I'd give them a resounding heck off. Not the idiot. There's a big difference between agreeing to wear some avant-garde or outside-the-box outfit and being half naked and uncomfortable. Regardless of what you do for a living, you have every right not to feel like you're on display. Hey, would you be comfortable if the outfit we designed for you to wear to the wedding doesn't include a shirt? Is the basic question they absolutely should have asked you in the planning stages. It's not appropriate to expect someone in your wedding party to go shirtless without asking in advance. But acting like you're the bad guy when you express discomfort and then making a comment about you going on a diet is pure, full-on idiot behaviour. You're not ruining anything. They need to grow up and show some respect for their friends. And it's like the whole day. It'd be one thing if it's like, walk down here without a shirt, LOL, but weddings are an all-day thing where you would just want a shirt after a while. Imagine if the genders were reversed and a bridesmaid was given an outfit that showed too much skin for her comfort. Hard to imagine they'd be pressuring her in the same way. You're a human, not a prop. You deserve to be fully clothed. I grew up in a difficult home. I grew up not eating well. I was given food that most people would not consider edible, but I only recognised this after several years. It's impacted my ability to tell via taste. I struggle to recognise when something doesn't taste good. I'll eat something most people would be disgusted by. I've learned how to cook as an adult, and I've asked my husband and his family to be honest if something isn't good. They told me it was good. They've always eaten what I cook and said nice things. My husband's parents hosted a dinner party recently and asked each kid or in-law to bring a dish. I noticed right away that my dish was a struggle for other guests. It was the only one being somewhat avoided or ignored on the plates of guests, and then someone asked who the heck cooked it because they wanted to get sick. I apologised and said I had no idea it was bad. I was a bit of a mess, honestly. I took the rest of my dish up and tossed it so nobody else would accidentally or not grab any. A few guests apologised for not eating it and I said it was fine. I offered to let them dump it on my plate. Things grew tense. One person felt unwell after it. I felt so upset that my husband and his family placed me in that position. They know I can't tell personally, yet nobody said my cooking was bad or that I shouldn't bring a dish. When everyone else left, I told them they should have been honest instead of letting me embarrass myself and making others uncomfortable because people were clearly unsure about what to do about the dish I brought and were trying not to offend. I told them I'd asked for a reason. I want to learn and do better, but I can't if they lie when asked. Some of my husband's siblings said I should never expect that from them and I was trying to make them misbehave. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Why don't you use recipes that are rated? If you follow the recipes, the food will likely be palatable. There are zillions of recipes, many tried and rated on the internet. I find it odd that someone who struggles to make palatable meals wouldn't follow a recipe. That way, spices would be balanced and edible. I'm so much more confused now. Like, if eggs have gone bad, put them in water to see. Potato salad is not known for needing loads of salt. Like, did she pile on dill or something? Almost everything you're going to cook with will have more than one indicator that it's become inedible. Smell, taste, appearance, manufacturer best by date, etc, etc. Maybe she doesn't practice decent food safety and it got left out. Otherwise, she says she gets thrown by instructions to season to taste, but that won't make people ill unless they're Gordon Ramsay on TV. I'm sorry for OP's trauma, but I feel like she needs to spend a lot more time eating good food and being taught basic cooking and safety. I disagree, she's not the idiot, but her husband very specifically is. He should have told her her dish was bad, even if he was carefully taking her side. If other family members felt like they should have encouraged her, that's one thing. Still, her husband should have had her back so she wouldn't feel embarrassed and so as not to make anyone sick. This is on him. My husband, 32, and I, female 32, have had our share of issues even before we got married. Still, we were determined to make it work and recently tied the knot. During our wedding reception, my husband asked how I felt about him not wearing his ring. I told him how important it was to me that he wore it and reiterated it the next day. After we left on our honeymoon, my husband told me he left his ring at home because he didn't want to lose it. He also mentioned that the ring is a little tight, so it's not like it would just fall off. We resolved that, but it brought up a bigger conversation about being considerate of each other's feelings. This wasn't the first or second time we've had a conversation like this. The next day I suggested we watch a show I thought he'd be interested in, but he fell asleep for most of it and only woke up for the last 20 minutes. Right after the show ended, he called his friend to talk about it. I told him I would have liked to talk about the show instead, and he hung up, but it became an issue because he felt I should have asked to join the conversation with his friend. I'm struggling to see things from his perspective. The wedding ring, him leaving it behind, and how he handled our time together on our honeymoon are really bothering me. He says it's just a difference of opinion, but if we can't show up for each other now during the honeymoon phase, I'm worried about how things will go during our marriage. Am I the idiot for being upset and yelling at my husband about these things? It's a punch in the gut to ask during your reception whether he must wear his ring or not. I'm guessing your husband either caved into getting married and/or is somewhere on the spectrum. I'll go with not the idiot without more information, although yelling about these kind of things won't get you anywhere, unless that's how you got him to agree to the marriage. Genuine question, why did you get married to him? You don't seem compatible in the slightest. Can we stop assuming someone is on the spectrum when they behave like an idiot, please? I mean, absolutely nothing about his behavior suggests he's on the spectrum. People should get married after solving issues, not with a sense of determination to ignore their issues. Why would you marry someone you're already having problems with? That just baffles me. You may as well go and annul your marriage before you have the issue of divorce on your hands. You two clearly aren't compatible.